All right. Hello and welcome to the May 1st, 2025 weekly mentorship meeting for Swimming Ideas. My name is Jeff Napolsky. I am the aquatic professional for Swimming Ideas, and I'm excited to have you here with me today. And today we are going to talk about developmental swim teams and specifically summer league programs and just kind of the basic things that you can find on the Swimming Ideas website that can help prepare you for a successful summer and prepare any staff that you work with to teach swimming well. So generally, so this is for those people that are coming in that have a need, they have a want, they want to fix something, and they want some guidance on something. So how are we going to do that? It's really hard, I've found, to give a full prescription of what people should be doing because everyone's variables are so unique and different across the board. And what I mean by that is that people who maybe work in a country club are different than people that work for a USA swimming team or for a club team, like a small competitive team, versus a learning to be on a swim team during the summer kind of deal. So there are these layers of complexity and involvement and time. And then, of course, your unique facility challenges and needs and requirements. So what I want to do is I want to give just an overview, and that's kind of generally what I do anyways, is because the mentorship meeting here, which is what you're watching this video on now, is really intended for that dialogue, to do that back and forth and say, okay, well, what is it about your program challenges that you have, and based on my experience and things that I've seen across my career, how can you improve or do things differently or better in a way that gets more results and increases your retention and trains your staff well. So, and that's my job. But my job has always been teaching swim instructors and assistant swim coaches how to be assistant coach or full-time coaches and full-time instructors and promote them to lesson coordinators and, the whole thing. So if you're not familiar with who I am, I've been teaching swimming for about 30 years. I started when I was 15 at my local outdoor pool. And I worked my way up to being a pool manager. I started a summer link swim team there. I had no idea what I was doing. It was a little bit of a disaster, but I had a lot of help along the way. And I used the tools at my disposal, things that I had experienced on the swim team in high school, which I joined when I was 15 as a junior. So I came to swimming late. I never was one of those competitive full-time swimmers, but I've always been good at swimming. And then after college, I worked in pools and aquatic management and kind of worked my way through a couple different places and have been running an indoor pool and outdoor pools for about 15 years for a park district. And training lots of swim instructors how to be swim instructors, and then sharing that information online through Swimming Ideas. So that's what you see here. And I was part of a level 4, administrative level 4 USA swimming team, which is the highest administrative level you can get. And I was the head developmental coach there for 7 years, and I worked with them for 12 years total. So I have a lot of experience on deck coaching every day for 3 to 4 hours a day. So that's where a lot of this trial and error came from, because I had near autonomy with those groups to share and iterate. And, I really am grateful for the coaches that I worked with, the full-time coaches that I worked with, to give me that opportunity. And we thrived. I mean, we had 44 kids in our developmental 1, developmental 2 group, which is bursting at max. We had a 4-lane, 20-yard pool. And really it was only 3 lanes because we had permanent stairs in one of the lanes. So we were maxed out, like 2 groups, and then the third group, so about 112 people at our peak, swimmers, that I was directly overseeing. And then our team had about 220. So it was almost half the entire population of the group of the team was in the developmental program. And honestly, that's what you want. You want a large, diverse base, and the pyramid goes up. So as people commit to the sport, they remain in your swimming program. And as people try different things and decide that the swimming isn't for you, then they tend to fall off as you get higher and higher up that pyramid of performance excellence. Now, the goal of swim teams is to make that a column, so that you keep everybody, so that they're all the same. But naturally, it tends to be kind of like this, where the fewest number of people are your elite swimmers. Your high school tends to be your, maybe one of your larger groups, maybe not. And then your age group program is your largest, and then your developmental program may or may not be the largest because it all feeds up, and then you have people falling off as you go forward. So, I just wanted to share that that insight about me and where I'm coming from, and what this language is and where it's coming from, and then kind of review some of the resources that are on the website so that you can leverage them into a successful summer program, summer career. So let's get started with that. I just want to jump right in. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And I'm doing that now. And I believe you can see everything that is here now. Okay, so this is the mentorship meetings where you can find them. If you are on the Download Mentorship and Tools course, you click on weekly mentorship meetings, you click on the date, and then the link is right there. It's also here. Prior recordings are under the mentorship recordings page. So that's over here. And you'll see all the links are posted here. They're YouTube, they're private, so you can see them, but you need the thing. So, all right, and that's under the Download Mentorship and Tools page. So here are all of the online courses, and the courses are kind of like the gated, the password protected gated area of the site. So if you're a member, you get access to all the courses. If you're a Teams subscriber, which means that you have a large team of people that you're working with. So if you're supervising people, you have the Teams or the agency program that gives you access to everything, but every person that you choose gets access to everything as well. You can actually create your own courses if you wanted to. That only your staff can see. So if you want to personalize things, that's a good platform for that. But generally what you're doing is you're leveraging all the material for your staff. So you're buying a bulk thing for everybody to participate in. They can log in and use stuff. So what we're going to look at today is the Developmental Swim Team Coaching online course. And we're going to also look at some of the blog posts, specifically the practices for Minnows 1, which is our first introductory group. And that's what we're going to spend our time focusing on. So let's start with the swim team, Developmental Swim Team Coaching online course. And I recommend that you take teaching swimming first and level structure first, because a lot of the terminology is going to be outlined in these courses first. So you can, you don't have to be brought up to speed and like, well, what is position 11? What does that mean? It's in the teaching swimming online course, and it's pretty clearly outlined. If you haven't yet, get the teaching swimming workbook, the new version. It's also in the download files page. But position 11 is prominently displayed now as a specific call out with its own pages. And so it's going to be a lot more actionable, so you'll be able to reference it in a better way. It's also one of the skill sheets that you can get it's all in the download files. So it's all here. And I'll just show you that quickly. Download files is kind of the repository for all the downloadable content that you can get. So the Teaching Swimming Edition 4 is live. You can download that here. And then position 11 is the lesson plan. So you can see that here. And this is a great, I use this still. The script, how do you make it easier? So the first 25, you're going to review, well, what is position 11? The second 25, you're going to, okay, well, how do you do it well? And you do these 3 things each time, and you repeat it like a mantra, and kids get into it, and they know what to expect, and then they start doing it. So you're going to want to take those courses first so that you can have that understanding of what everything is. And what I want to kind of call out today, because the structure of your developmental program isn't really going to be your summer league kind of thing. You're probably going to be looking like you're not looking at like what your progression is year over year and season over season, and how you're going to take new swimmers and turn them into competitive swimmers, then turn them into high school swimmers and turn them into college athletes. As a summer league, you're probably just looking at what can I do with the people I have right now. So I would look at the pre-practice dry land routine, warm up, small group learning, and then when it's done, aerobic conditioning, so that you can kind of get an idea of how to structure your practices on a daily basis so that you're doing the most in the most effective way for everybody. You don't want it for a summer league. You don't want to be giving out test sets unless you know what you're doing. And you have a subsect of swimmers that have abandoned their club team or their high school team and they're just doing a summer league kind of fun thing. You don't need to be giving out 10 100s on the 1 minute kind of thing. That's a bit extreme for oftentimes beginners. I'm not belittling summer league here, but oftentimes it's the casuals, it's the doorway, it's the entrance to competitive swimming, where you are part of a community and you join a community team and it's fun and exciting and there is lap swimming and there's very low pressure commitment and very low pressure swim meets. And so your training, your practice has to be around the basics. So that's why I'm focusing on developmental. And I think you could very much benefit from the pre-practice dryland routine, and the warm-up that we have, and then again, the small group learning. So let's take a look at the just a couple of portions of this. I don't want to get too in depth with it, and I don't want to get too like granular, I guess. I want to focus more on the actionable things that you can take away. And I don't want to go too much into the weeds here. So I've just picked up a couple of them. So establishing the routine for your dry land. So you want to create a repeatable framework. You want to do something that's predictable and similar every day, but has enough variability, enough differences in the small pieces so that it keeps people interested. So for example, the framework I use when I ran developmental dry land training, which is like on land before you get in the water. We did a warm-up activity that just was something to get people moving. It follows the get in and go philosophy, which is like, let's just start. There's a clear demarcation. There's a clear delineation between what's happening and before practice starts and then when practice begins. So you can have that like casual conversation with your swimmers or your participants, and then, all right, practice has begun, we're doing something immediately, and they should immediately start doing that thing. And that's to set that clear delineation between pre-practice and when practice is happening. So the warm-up activity is just, let's do 10 sit-ups, let's do 10 jumps, let's run around in a circle 5 times. It's something that is clearly different than the conversation, the casual environment that you were in. Then we did our yoga flow. The yoga flow is awesome. It's a soldier position where you just stand here and then streamline 11, eat 11, forward fold, you walk into down dog, up dog, plank, chaturanga, push up into plank, forward, stand back into soldier. And then we did one freestyle arm, one more freestyle arm, thing of butterfly, and then start over again. And then we did activities. So like you can come up with fun activities, and these don't need to be, like 30 push-ups, get them, go, go, go. Like that's boring and nobody likes it, right? For kids, if you're into like strength training, sure, like get the muscle fibers going. But like for a summer league swim team program, we can combine these highly specific poses, things, and make them fun. So crab scuttle, 2 people do the crab position, which is like you put your hands down with your belly up and you bend your knees. So you can see in the picture here. and then someone has to slither through underneath you. The goal here to succeed in this challenge or this activity is to keep your belly flat and not let your hips sink so that the person below you gets touched, right? So that's a fun activity. That's, we're teaching this like body position skill, this stretch, but it's done in a fun way. So it's a combination of like, let's make this interesting, let's make it fun, but also entertaining at the same time. And you can do this in the grass. I wouldn't do this one particularly on cement, but you can. The soft pretzel into a streamline, I love that one. That's a lot of fun. Someone just kind of contorts themselves into a crazy twisted mess and then becomes like a puppet, and their friend has to untwist them and put them into a streamline. So they're like playing with a puppet or a Play-Doh or a doll. And that's a good one because it focuses on, do you know what streamline is? And when you get it wrong, like, oh, I'm dumb. Like, that's not streamline. Like, it's putting someone else into streamline. Another one is streamline roll, which is a lot of fun. You have to lay on your back, feet to feet with your partner in streamline, maintain streamline together, and do a full roll without disconnecting or falling on a streamline. And that's a great challenge because if you fail at it, there's a clear reason why. You didn't lock your thumb, you didn't squeeze your ears, you didn't keep your head straight, or your feet came apart, any one of those things. So it's a really clear fail metric or criteria, but a very real challenge. It's a lot of fun. And what we're doing is we're working on core strength, core stability, coordination, and adherence to streamline. So everything that you can do can be fun. It can even be directly related to a swimming skill. You just have to merge those two in a creative way. And this online course is a way to help trade those activities or give you those ideas so that you can do it, as well as on the website. I mean, they're all in the challenges under the swim games link. And then we did the question of the day. So, come up with a routine that works for you. In this routine, it's warm up, yoga flow, activity, and then question of the day. Very simple. And you can change the variables there to make them interesting and exciting. The warm up doesn't always have to be the same thing. The activities the yoga flow remains the same. So that's a constant, but that's a specific because we're doing swimming skills on each stage of it. So that's our highly focused, deliberate practice. But we had a fun thing, deliberate practice. Activity is a fun thing along with deliberate practice, and that can change. Same with the second activity. And then the question of the day is a dynamic question that should be focused on swimming skills or interpersonal development. So like coach information, like humanizing the coach so that the kids form a connection with you in a positive way. Things like, what is my favorite food? What color is my favorite, kind of thing. And like learning about you in innocuous things that are bring you together in a positive way. So that would be, the first thing I would focus on is establish a in-water practice routine. And then for how you structure your in-practice things, again, I would say do the get in and go. I would start with position 11. It's a great drill applicable to every skill level. It's hard. So even the elite swimmers may not do it well. And it's a good reminder of the basics to do every day. I like peppering it in even for them. And then we do the question of the day, and then we focus on learning on the clock and circle swimming and stuff like that. So let's look at position 11 and streamline. So part of that formula here is the 225 position 11. And so it's a streamline first that turns into position 11. And what that looks like, and I know this isn't the best tool for this, but what that looks like is you do your streamline, then you do position 11, and you take a breath and return to finding balance on the surface. And the goal there is to kind of extend the body at the surface with the arms directly above the shoulders without, and then holding it throughout the distance and taking a quick breath. Right? Because why we do this is because we're establishing a habit of putting your hands in that position, because every stroke is going to flow through that extended reach position. And when you start moving that entry point or anchor point for your next stroke, regardless of which competitive stroke you're working on, you start losing the efficiency of your stroke. So position 11, done repetitively every day with precision and excellence, is a great way of establishing every stroke is going to return to position 11. And then it serves as your cueing point and your anchoring point for feedback later on. Your front crawl arms weren't reaching to position 11, and they're going to be like, well, what is position 11? It's like, well, we do position 11 every single day. You should know exactly what position 11 is because we do it every single day, and it looks like this. Put your hands here. And they're like, oh, yeah, that's right. But if you're not doing position 11 every day, if you're not talking about it, and you're saying, put your arm directly above your shoulder, that's kind of an abstract term that they can't visualize and see unless you're doing that skill every day. So I would focus on lots of position 11 drills in your practices during a summer league, because it's one of those Pareto principle 20% of things that's going to get a large outsized influence of positive growth for your swimmers. And then they can take that into their swim lessons, they can take that into their competitive team, and leverage it with good quality swimming. So I would focus on that. The next one is looking at your space limitations and seeing that as an opportunity. So common challenges are maybe you have limited lanes, you don't have more than 4 lanes, you have a small pool, or maybe you're sharing it with a different part of your swim team or your swim lesson. So how do you make use of it? And how can you leverage both ends of a lane? You don't all have to crowd into a single side. Make sure you're using the rotation method, and you're leveraging the shallow end, and you're doing actions and activities that are kind of fun. So if you have deep ends, how can you get non-swimmers to jump off the blocks, and then make it fun, make it interesting? Here's an interesting flow chart for dives and blocks. So did you dive in? Yes. Did you streamline to the flags? No. Okay, do a jump off the blocks and then do it again. So did you streamline in the air? No. Then do a jump off the block. So it's just an interesting little flow chart there. But you can leverage these small pools to your advantage. So kind of think about, how you're going to take the pool space that you have and use it. You don't have to be in a 6-lane, 25-yard pool all on one side of the pool. You can use all sides of the pool. You can split your groups in half and have some people starting from the other side. You can really be diverse and different and creatively use the space that you have. So take a look at that. And then finally, I want to focus on chunking. I've talked about chunking in the past. I'm not done quite yet with that, but there is a newsletter on it that I do want to review. Where is it? Rotation, short distance, maybe it's short distance training. Maybe not. I mean, essentially what chunking is it is taking a complicated skill, breaking it into pieces, and then pulling it back together. So I think it's one of these, and I should know this better, but it's hard to kind of remember everything that I've done. Yeah, it's not this one. But these are great because they're intended to be kind of like slideshows so that you can train your staff with them. And so that's like, okay, here's what we're talking about. We're talking about setting the stage for front glides and support glides. And then these are like guided questions. And then there's a video option. It's kind of like a PowerPoint, but they're intended to be opportunities for you to teach and have a discussion about things. So I don't think this is the one on chunking either. There's one left, so it might be this one. I don't think this is it either. Maybe it's level 3 and level 4. But chunking is where you take a complex skill like backstroke or freestyle and you break it into smaller activities, or you break it into smaller pieces, and then you can put it back together. So I can't believe I can't find this, and I'm sorry that I'm dragging you through this list, but it's a good, I guess you're getting the benefit of seeing everything that's on here. But it's not ideal to be doing it this way. I thought it was here. I mean, each of these progressions are chunked out, so I mean, I guess you would know what it is. And that's kind of embarrassing that I can't find it. Chunking is when you take, let's say, front crawl, and that's the arms, the breath, the kick, and maybe the body line. And you separate them out, and then you isolate one. So then let's say you look at the arm strokes. So we're looking at freestyle arms. So then you can do a number of drills, one arm only drill, head lead balance with rotation with one arm. You can do catch-up drill. You can do fingertip drag drill. You can do tick-tock. I mean, there are all these different drills you can do to focus on what the arms are. Position 11, right? And that's, you're chunking out. You're taking the chunk of arms and you're isolating it. You're focusing on the arm stroke, and then you're going to put it back together into the whole and say, okay, now that we've worked on the arm strokes, do the entire swim. We're going to do 825s, whatever, of freestyle. Focus on the arms while you're swimming. Do everything else, but focus on what we learned in the arms. Or the breathing. We can do like position 1 with a side breath. And then position 1, lay on your side, and then breathe to the sky and look down again with your nose and your stinky armpit. You can do these drills, and those are focused on head rotation for breathing. You're chunking out the breath, and then you're putting it back together in the hull. For the kick, same thing. Kickboards, fins, that's chunking. Body rotation, head lead balance, different drills for that. So, and then anchoring and one arm only. So chunking is kind of like splitting out those skills and then putting them back together. For a summer league, I would focus on really basic chunks. 3 times streamline with 3 strokes and a flip. And your feedback is going to be focused on the arm strokes, right? Returning to position 11 with every arm stroke, or doing a catch-up drill explicitly. That's how you should swim the entire time. Teaching that, and what you're doing is you're isolating your instruction. You're limiting your feedback to these core principles, so that when they go do a full-length swim at a swim meet or an impromptu swim meet, they're doing those things well, and the rest of it will kind of fall into place over time. You have 2 months, maybe 8 weeks, 6 weeks, maybe, with these swimmers during the summer. You're not going to be dramatically changing their entire stroke and their stroke progress. You're not doing that because you don't have enough time, and they're likely not at that level to make those fine refinements. Instead, you've got to maximize the amount of time you're spending with them to get the biggest results. So streamline the basics, circle swimming, language of swimming, diving maybe, arm strokes that go to position 11, breath that doesn't include doggy paddle. You're going to be focusing on those essentials, maybe introduction to breaststroke and butterfly. But again, peppering those things in, but primarily focusing on freestyle backstroke and then just kind of logistical things. So that's why I think the online course for the developmental swim team is so important. And then I also chose this post. It's for swim teams teaching circle swimming. And it's about, okay, well, how do I do circle swimming and what is it? So how do you keep people from crashing? And what should you do and how do you introduce it? I like to do it by setting up my lane. This is the language I use for this position, where I have one person in the right-hand corner, everyone else lined up against the lane. Yes, everyone should touch the wall and then get back into their line. They shouldn't just queue up. That's why there's an opening here. But I would focus on circle swimming as your big initial push for the summer league after you've established your routine. But yeah, I would really focus on that. So using this blog post would be an excellent tool in your toolbox there. All right, so what I want to also do is kind of look at what's offered on the Swimming Ideas website. So this is a free thing that everyone gets access to. It's the practices that I ran as a developmental swim coach between, I think it's like 2018 or 19 through 2021. And so I put every practice on this website, and I use the website as our practice because we had a projector and a TV screen, and that's what we were doing. And so everyone could see what we were doing next. They knew it was happening. And it's there for everyone to use as a resource. So if you don't know what to do, you could just follow these. So 2019 was a really good peak pre-COVID kind of practice experience, similar to what you would experience today. And you can just follow it directly. You can use the website, you can put it on a projector, on a TV screen, or on some other thing and follow it. You can use it on your phone. But we're starting with our warm-up, our get in and go, our 225s position 11, and then question of the day. What is a 25? Believe it or not, people need to know that answer. Just by saying, all right, go do a 25, they're like, what are you talking about? What is this random number? Am I jumping 25 times? Am I going to take 25 arm strokes? Like, no, it's a distance, it's amount of swimming, it's how far you go. And depending on the pool, it may be a 50. It may be, maybe you're in a 50-meter pool. And then 25 doesn't apply. And then we review set up your lane. And in group 2, we're talking about streamline. And we're going to review the 3 things for streamline. And then we're going to do streamline on deck. Ooh, interesting. I have to fix that. And then we're going to get together into one group and then fall down for breaststroke. So we're doing these activities and they're in small groups and we're not doing a ton of swimming. And that's okay because these are beginners on their first day. And so we're covering the basics. And we can pepper in a couple of longer distance swims, but we're not necessarily doing that here. We're going to do a yoga flow the next day. So this is just a clear progression of skills. Group 1, group 2, get back together. And then here's our aerobic set. It's 625s of swimming, mostly kicking and freestyle, and doing position 11. And that's okay, especially if you have 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds in your summer league program. You don't need to be jamming out 1,000 yards. For developmental 1, I think the focus was between 500 and 800 yards per practice, because these are our beginners who can, pass a tryout but have never been on a swim team before. Very similar to summer league. And then upping it to like 1,200 yards for developmental 2, and then targeting generally about 2,000 yards for the age group 1 group after that. So that's really where you're doing more aerobic stuff, but you don't want to be doing a lot of yardage and aerobic conditioning if your swimmers aren't swimming well. They have to know how to swim before you start introducing that significant aerobic activity. And you can see here, even on the 3rd day, there's 8 25s. There's nothing really massive going. Lots of repetition, lots of the same thing, challenges, activities, again, following that activity challenge formula, or doing your group activity, your challenge, your aerobic activity, and then your challenge. So 625 fins, kick in position 1 with side breaths, wearing fins. For 1 to 4, swim freestyle with no fins. For 1 to swim free. No fins for 5 and 6, right? That doesn't really make a lot of sense, but I don't want to go into it right here, but I knew what it meant when it was there. And then 250s of kick on your back and free kick on the return. So kick down and back. Backstroke on the way down, freestyle on the way back. Again, aerobic conditioning to a degree, but still in smaller amounts. And you can build up to it. For Summer League, I think you can assume that people are coming every day. For us, this was September, not everyone comes in every day, so you have to kind of drag out that ramp progression, assuming people come twice a week. And then that means you have to rotate what you're offering so that you're not always doing breaststroke on Mondays and butterfly on Tuesdays, because the people that don't come on those off days will never get the other skills. So you have to rotate what you're doing on a daily basis so that you're not always doing butterfly on Mondays. Okay. Let's kind of wrap this up here, I think. And I think we can kind of finish the discussion on this now. The goal, like I said, is, for Summer League, there's a lot of opportunity to learn and to share, and it's really exciting. It's a lot of fun. Keep it on the basics. Scaffolding or your framework. Establish that so it's predictable, easy to follow, but also allows for some variability. Like, we do this category of thing at this time in this order every day, but what we are doing during those categories may change. Our warm-up is predictable, interesting, and fun, and sets the tone for the rest of the practice. Our workouts are metered to the people that are there, so they're challenging enough for them, but scaled based on the amount of people and the quality of their swimming. So if they're not very good swimmers, don't have them do hundreds. The worst thing you can do is allow swimmers to struggle and swim with bad habits for distances that are longer than appropriate for their ability. So if they can't hold a good freestyle for a 50, don't do 50s down and back. Do 25s. Give them rest. Give them an opportunity to streamline and then swim. Because what you'll do is you'll build up confidence and competence so that a week from now, 2 weeks from now, you can do 50s. All right, so don't just throw hundreds at people because that's what you did in your high school practice or in your college practices. And then focus on the core skills that are going to get the biggest outsized results. Position 11 is a really good drill you can use for everybody, regardless of ability. Streamline is always worth reinforcing no matter what. Hand position for the arm strokes. I'm talking about like where it enters the water, not necessarily what it does above the water. It's not as important for beginners. The basics of butterfly kick, breaststroke kick, butterfly arms, peppering that in on a daily basis. And then leveraging short distances. You don't have to always go at 25. You can just do a streamline in 3 strokes and then stop. You are allowed to do that, and that's okay. I encourage that because what you're doing is you're removing all that anxiety of, oh my God, I can't do this for a full 25. And so you're isolating these 3 strokes, and then it's encouraging that swimmer to do those 3 strokes really well because they don't have to worry about doing 5 or 10 or 20 and getting exhausted or not being able to breathe. And then they get a rest and they can do it again. Because we want to establish good habits. We don't want to foster bad habits. And then make it fun, make it interesting, make it exciting, use our challenges, use our resources. But you can find all this on swimminglessonsideas.com. So the blog and then practices, and you can sort by developmental 1 and 2, go back to 2019. September, that's a really good portion of the year and a really good example of what you can do. You can just follow them directly if you wanted to. And then the online course, Developmental Swim Coaching, is a really good resource. The first half of it is done right now. We're in May 1st of 2025, so it's still being fleshed out. And then the online course is Teaching Swimming. We'll give you the basics. And then the download files page, the specific skills are going to be your bread and butter for swim team and developmental programs and summer leagues. Because this is kind of the cheat sheet for swim teams are these specific skills. I wouldn't waste too much time on I wouldn't use the lesson plan specifically unless you're doing level 4. And I would focus mostly on these. If you want more, there's the Developmental Swim Practice book. It's a bit outdated at this point, and is about ready for a refresher along with the swim games. So, those are the resources I would use. You can download them and share them with your staff. So if you want to get an individual membership, you don't have to have a team membership to allow everyone to download this unless you're looking to give them the online courses. Let's wrap that here. So thank you for joining me. Tomorrow, we can teach better lessons together. Take care and good luck this summer.